denk ik.
Yes, I see a red button going up.
Okay, good day everyone. We're now live. Sorry for the interruptions and for the delay. I had some minor technical difficulties. It was on my end, and that's. I'm sorry to say I cannot screen or share any images right now. So I'm gonna cut and paste it directly into Stay Home Comic Con. I think the Facebook page, because that's where we're also live. But we're today here with rising Dutch star artist Renee Rienties. Hi, Renee.
Hi.
Let me check if there's anybody online. Is there anybody online today and watching? Let me see. Let me check. Otherwise, we'll just record this and spread the word later on.
It makes it less awkward if less people are watching.
Well, according to the feed, there's 5 people watching, so at least we have 5 people watching. Okay, we've got Irene and we've got Marvin. Hey, Marvin. Oh, happy birthday, Marvin.
Happy birthday. Hi.
And we've got Marco. So we got 5 people at least live. So let's get started. I did have, just prior to my personal crash of my system, I had all the questions ready, all the images ready, but yay, I don't have any anymore. Hey, listen, the first time I saw your artwork, it was a bit the horror, Oya Namzi or something. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it. Yeah, almost ready. Almost done. Hey, but that was the first time. That was the first time I met you, and the words you did this.
Is coming really bad. I couldn't hear that. Sorry.
Is your connection?
No, you.
Okay,
away.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna share it on. I'm gonna, if I see watch video, and I can perhaps. Okay, there we go. I can perhaps add images here. Let me check. No, it's really only a share only. That's too bad. Well, people have to Google it. If you can Google Renee Rienties, then there is a lot of things to show. And one of the items, of course, that's also popping up is the Sisterhood mummy, which is so fun.
Yep.
But you started out with horror Dutch manga series, or at least it was in English, but it was published in the Netherlands. So you started out there, right? Is there something? Yeah. Is there something prior to that? Because you don't just up and come in and say, oh hey, I'm able to draw. So there has to be something before that, right?
Well, I think every artist start out with drawing as they are like very little. So I guess that's the start. But for Oyasumi, I made one tiny small press comic, which is very different. Was my daily life comics. And after that, I made with 2 other friends the anthology we published together.
Yeah.
Into the manga. It's something completely different because we all started out with manga, and we want to make something
together.
That inspired us. Yeah, together.
Okay.
If I explain this right.
Yeah, but and who was then the person that said, okay, we'll just band together, we put the project together, and suddenly there is actually a product. I mean, I've been trying to get a comic book series up and running, and I know I'm up and running with the first issue, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of combined efforts with designers, with writers, with artists to come up with one product. I mean, how does that product, your first anthology, then come to be? Who was the mastermind behind that then?
I think all 3 of us, because we sort of started out with the 24-hour comic day. So we hanged out together and we just went on drawing a 24-page, more like 20, but for people who are not familiar with 24-hour comics, it's like you sit down for 24 hours and you try to make a whole comic in 24 hours. So 1 page an hour. Yeah. So after the 24 hours, you have like this 24 pages comic. And we were like, okay, we have a good start. Why not like finish this and polish it and make this into an anthology? So
and it worked, right?
Yeah, it was a great start, and it was really fun because we just started out with as a fun project for shits and giggles, and eventually put it all together into one book.
Yeah, it was a really magnificent book. I got it as a birthday present for my oldest son, who's really into the whole manga. He really liked it, so kudos right there. And next up was, of course, you and me started working together, and you graciously, given me one story that will be printed, I think next week or the week after that. So it's going to be a cool little project. But, other than that, suddenly I saw you, with an ad, which, Marvin has been talking about. You went into Max Verstappen, and which is the Formula One driving, thing. There might be people in the world that don't know about racing, but Max Verstappen is basically one of the youngest. Yeah, me too. I'm like that with soccer and everything. But there's something about Max Verstappen. Everyone knows him in the Netherlands because he's one of the youngest, and he's Dutch, and he's made the Formula One racing very hyped in the Netherlands right now. So so I know,
like, I'm not into racing or anything, but even I knew who Max Verstappen was. So
there was no going around it, and that's great. I mean, to put the Netherlands in this scene of sports and entertainment, to put the Netherlands in such a hot spot, well, that's remarkable. But to have the Grand Prix then come to the Netherlands as well. Sadly, it has been cancelled due to COVID-19, of course. But still, you had the opportunity to do a complete animation, or you did the art for the animation. How did that come to be? How did it come to you?
Google, I guess.
Really?
I remember I got a phone call from Zico, and most of the times if Zico is calling you, it's like, hey, do you want to have this provider, and can we sell you some division stuff? And I was like, no. But then they kept talking, like, I saw your work on the internet, and your style was really appealing and something we were looking for, and how I would like to maybe draw a commercial video. Commercial
video. Yeah.
So I end up, I was like, I don't animate because I can animate. I know how much time it takes, and I just prefer to draw images or comics, something like that.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we have someone in-house who does the animation, and if I would like to do the artwork for it. So I was like, yeah, I'm down for that. Sounds really cool. So
that was great. Yeah. Hey, perhaps you can share your screen with the viewers, because somehow I'm blocked out of the system, and show the people here to one of the art pieces on the F1.
I'm actually on my phone, so it's
okay.
not easy to work out. So,
no, then later on in the remarks.
I think I might be able to switch like my phone camera to my screen on my computer, but I'm not sure if the distortion would be because with a screen filming another screen, the distortion will not be very nice, I think.
No. Let's leave it at that. That's up to me. Next time I'll be a proper host. That's for sure. And I will just basically print out everything then before, and then I could show it here as well. Really old school, but sharing a screen next time, that will be mandatory. Somehow it's blocking my share screen possibility. So whatever, we'll just do it with both of our faces then in the widescreen here.
And a bit effort to Google stuff, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the Formula One, the Zico, well, I guess they stumbled upon a couple of images on the internet, like you said. It's fun to see that one horror manga image could lead into the Max Verstappen Formula One Zico animation, advertisement. I mean, that's awesome. So
yeah, very cool.
The next step, from what I know, I mean, feel free to interrupt me and say, hey, you missed out on a lot of other things. But the next thing I know is that you're doing an actual comic book, a strip, a European strip, based on a guy called Sam, right?
No, it's that is actually more a children's book. It's written by the Formula One commentator. Yes, Olaf Mol. He does the commentary for the Formula One here in Holland, and he wrote a children's book about racing, and not specifically Formula One only, but also karting, and how a little kid starts very small from with a passion for racing, and probably will grow up to be a Formula One driver. And I provided the illustration for that. So I did the cover and the interiors for that children's book.
Yeah, Fast Sam, snelle Sam. Yeah, I've got it here on my screen, which I cannot share because, well, I'm an amateur, right? But yeah, that is awesome. So, is there? I've got a question here. From Marvin, he said, well, something called Dutch metal, Hollands Metal.
Yeah.
It's basically a heavy metal magazine, kind of, but then Dutch based with all the Dutch, I know Boy Ackerman, and I know Dinesh is also contributing. Richard van der Linde is doing the cover right now, I think. So you have heavy metal basically Hollands Metal, and you have also a companion series called Veros is showing me here, Hollands Manga.
Hollands Manga, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, one of these magazines you're also published in.
Yeah. In the first issue of Hollands Manga, they're with 4 artists and various writers. I think it's the same concept as Hollands Metal, but then more specifically focused on the manga here in Holland. So a lot of cool creators in one cool anthology.
Yeah,
I think close to what you have, like more comic book sized.
Magazine sized?
Sorry?
Is it more magazine sized or comic sized?
More comic size. I think a little bit smaller, and it's very close to the printing way as that is, with a flip cover. So you have 2 covers on one book. That's pretty cool.
I always love that. I actually have that on my own comic as well because I really love it. I mean, why waste the back cover, right? So that's fun. And I do remember that Heavy Metal, the magazine Heavy Metal, and I think also 2000 AD. Not sure about that, but Heavy Metal does that also. It also has several covers, which you can choose from, which is awesome. And the Diamond Previews always has as a flip cover, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think also a lot of comics have variant covers, like the same issue but a different front cover. But in this case, it's like you halfway through the book, you flip it over and you start reading from that side.
Yeah. I've got a question here from Peter lets you know that he misses a real life Comic-Con. Well, Peter, I'm sure that goes for all of us. Part of the reason that Stay Home Comic Con has been organized or masterminded by Gladys, Gladys and Irene, was the idea that, well, yeah, we are missing a real live Comic Con. So I hope that will be, for next year. Till then,
you guys too.
Yeah. We'll just
Safe
have
bet.
one like this then. But Peter also has a different question. He says, together with Kenny, and I'm really assuming, I mean, there's only two Kennys I know of. One is with South Park, and the other one is the Dating with Geeks, creator and writer and artist, Kenny Rubenis. And so together you did a page in the Apple a while back. Okay, this is cool. I totally missed that, I guess. Are there more plans?
That was a horror special for Halloween last year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, last year. Oh, it's pretty cool. Kenny wrote like the short one-page story of it's Dating for Geeks characters, and I did the intro. Like, if the story is told, I drew it in my horror art style, and the end is like the conclusion in Kenny's panel. Well, very important. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was really fun to do.
Apparently Kenny is live as we speak.
Hey,
and
Kenny.
He says, well, it was not me, it was the one from South Park. Okay, no, that's fun. I do notice that Kenny is doing also some fun stuff on Apple right now. With the Storm story.
That was
yeah, it's like crazy, to get some kind of character and you do your own complete version with it. I mean, I'm looking forward to reading it. That's for sure. So I have another question. Let me check here. So basically, you start out, right? You think, okay, I'm drawing, I'm doing things. So you must have inspiration. So who were the persons who not really told you to start drawing, of course, but who were your personal inspirations on art styles? What made you choose to go your route and say, okay, well, if he can do it or she can do it, I want to be like that.
Well, I think a lot of artists, like every artist, I take inspiration from. Like if I'm on Instagram or buy a comic in the store, it's every comic has an aspect that I really love or inspires me.
Yeah.
I think specifically for horror, one of the art that really inspired me was Junji Ito. He's a Japanese manga artist who is very, very good with expressions and atmosphere in the creepy horror vibe.
Yeah.
And recently I'm more into the American comics as well. I think Super Sons drawn by, I'm sure I pronounced this wrong, George Chimnes or Jorge, I think. His art really got me into the manga of American comic books. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see other people inspiring other people. It's I'm sure that at one point someone will look at your work as well and say, okay, oh wow, like, if she's able to do that, I mean, I want to be that person as well. So yeah, why not? So, I'm thinking about, okay, that is the past. We've talked about basically the present, what you've been doing for the last couple of years. Is there something I've been missing?
Not at the top of my head. I'm
So you did manga, you did the Apple, you did the Formula One for Zico, you did the the fast Sammy.
Yeah.
Now,
Just, now I need to think. Yeah, and I did your comic as well, so the one will be out soon too. And I'm currently working on some new projects, but that needs to come out first. So yeah,
so
there's more coming, definitely.
Okay, so no teasing whatsoever. No, hey.
Well, there have been some teasers on my Facebook and Instagram. I'm currently working with an American writer, Bob Sally, on Salvagers. That's an sci-fi comic. That one's pretty cool.
Okay.
That's what I'm currently working on, and let's see. And I've got 3 other comic projects as well going on, but that need to wait for later.
Okay, so there's no mentioning yet of anything new. It's just there are a lot of things in the works. Yeah. We just have to keep following you, right?
Definitely, yeah. Because other projects I cannot talk about yet, but hopefully soon.
Okay, well, very interesting. So that is your future plan. I noticed that you not only draw yourself, but you also ink yourself. And in my world, at least in the world of comic books, it's a lot of the times you have a penciler who only does the pencils, and you have the inker who only does the inkers. So each have their specified trades. And well, in the American comic books scene, that is done, of course, because they have this massive deadline, this monthly deadline, and people just don't have time to do everything themselves. Well, you have a couple of people that are able to do that, like Jim Ballant or Terry Moore, who really want to do everything. But still, you ink yourself as well, right?
Yeah, so I prefer doing both inks and pencils myself.
Okay, so how did you get started into inking? I'm a promoter of the Inkwell Awards, so I'm already knowing, I already know that I'm gonna add an international award to this year as well, and I'm gonna try and nominate you as well. But why not, right? If I'm able to do it, why not? I mean, I think inking, aside from really penciling, inking is the extra step. And if you have a good team, you are a 2-in-1 team, of course. But if you have a good inker, and it's the next step of the magic that really happens, and that really shows. Here you have the pencils or even the blue pencils, and then the next step is the ink. So how did you happen to do that? Did you have an extra thought about it, or you were like saying, okay, well, I live in the Netherlands, and hey, fuck it, I'm just going to do everything myself?
I think here in Holland, it's pretty common that everybody, like most artists, ink, draw, pencil, ink, and color their own comics. So for me, later on, when I was into the American comic books more, I found out there are so many people working on one comic for the inks, the pencils, the colors, the letters, writing. So you have a whole team working on one issue. So yeah, I think for me, it was natural to ink and pencil yourself, even color, but I suck at color, so that's why I chose to do most of my work black and white. Yeah, I think that's how, but yeah.
So not a really afterthought. Well,
I think for me, if I were to choose now, if to take a penciler or let someone else ink my work, I still prefer to do it myself. Like, I love the process of sketching it out and inking as well.
Yeah, that's great. I had a similar chat like this with you yesterday with Vincenzo Cucca from Italy, and he was doing a live art where he already did a sketch of an alien with a mummy. It was amazing stuff, and he started inking it digitally even. Are you working digitally or are you working traditionally?
I do both, but I prefer mostly to do it digital. Because if you make adjustments or sometimes I'm sketching out something and I ink it, and once it's finished, I'm like, okay, this panel is not completely how I want it. I can easily change it that way.
Okay. I've got a question here from Marvin. He's asking if you had the choice to make on artistically areas, what would you want to do artistically speaking?
I mean, read the question a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, what I would like to make myself.
Yeah.
I have so many things. I do want to work in the future on longer horror series and more thriller series. So I want to do more of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually just any comic that comes my way, like working with writers or just drawing.
Okay. Yeah. Just drawing. Okay.
Yeah, I just draw.
So yeah, more horror is great. I know a Spanish book publisher who's really focusing on a lot of fantasy, but also horror series, and it's really it's really something else to look into instead of following only the mainstream superhero stuff. Yeah, so it's respect for that, because that's really what's needed more, I think, in the comic book industry and in the strip series.
I'm actually surprised how many horror enthusiasts are out there, because when I came out with Oh You See Me and people saw my work in that, and they were like, oh, this is horror, that's so cool, because you don't see that many horror comics like that. So, and it's I think also pretty hard to capture real thriller or eerie vibe in a comic, because in movies you have like jump scares coming in your face and you're like, whoa, it's not really scary, but it gets you startled. And with a comic, it's just images that are not moving, so you really have to do it with the story and the art that way. So I really want to do more of that.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, I'm gonna send you a few links to more horror comics, which I've been editing myself as well. I mean, that could be fun, because there are a lot of horror stories actually. And if you see at for instance Image Comics or newcomers like Aftershock and Scout Comics, there are a lot of horror stories happening right there and then. Because and even in the Netherlands we have some translations, I think by Sylvester and Dark Dragon books that are at least of course Sylvester and The Walking Dead is the horror series that come to mind. But you also have with Dark Dragon books a couple of zombie series, which is also fun. But except from the zombie series, there are also other horror series, so that's fun. Yeah. Okay, I've got a question. Well, this is going to be the last question, I think, before ending this lovely interview. Did you ever read Spawn? Well, I know I've read Spawn. I mean, Spawn is awesome. I've got complete collection of Spawn here in my cupboard. But you're shaking your head, Renee. Not you.
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Well, Spawn started out a bit as a urban horror kind of series. It lingered on, it was from Todd McFarlane, who just came off from Spider-Man and started out with his own project called Spawn. And it started out more like an urban horror legend, but it ventured into more like the superhero series, but almost. But at one point he said, okay, I'm going to twist it around totally, and it became a real horror series. Right now it's horror everywhere. You have angels, you have demons, you have everything is shady and a lot of shadows and a lot of jump scares, comic wise though. So yeah, that's well.
Gotta check that out.
But it's now. It's just broken a record, over 300 comics. So it's gonna be a while reading up on that. But I suggest
I think that with most comics is you really need, especially the American comics, you really need to like catch up because there are so many.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Try to start with the first Spider-Man, for example.
No, let's not, because that's really lousy comic. I've read it somewhere, the reprint at least, not original stuff, but it's so corny, it's so old, and I mean the coloring and the inking and the penciling, everything is just bad. But it
was kind of comic, so for that time it was pretty cool. But especially if you look at the art now, it evolved so much over the years. But
yeah, and without that first crappy issue of a really unique and something new and unique. I mean, Spider-Man was new and unique, and the Fantastic Four and everything. It started out for us lousy, but for the time period it was just perfect. But without that, we wouldn't have, we wouldn't possibly even have digitally coloring or everything working with the layers. I mean, if you have a good colorist right now and you see how they can manage the skin tones even and the shading and everything, that's that was unheard of even 40 years ago. So yeah. Well, I guess Peter is not really happy with me bashing the first issue in which the Amazing Fantasy 15, I think, in which Spider-Man came up. But sorry, it's it's compared to what we now have. I mean, I'm grateful for what it started. I mean, the comic book series that expanded, and it has enriched my personal youth. But it's I'm very happy to move forward and into new adventures, into new things, and like you, I love creating my own stuff. But without a really good history, we wouldn't be able to pull that off as well.
It's got to start somewhere.
Here, if Kenny says it's true, it has to be true, right? That's so true. Well, sorry to say, Peter, we don't really bash Spidey. We only bash the arts in the best possible way. That's for sure. Hey, I've got one last question coming up from Richard van der Linde. Are there any tricks to creating horror that's unique to comics? That's a multi-dimensional question, I think. Are there any tricks?
Creating horror that's unique. How do you mean that question? Like, any tricks into creating horror comics, or how to make it your own?
I think he means how to translate the horror theme into comics, and how to make that unique. And so, is there something that you do with point of view, with camera angles? Is there something you I actually have no idea what he's trying to do. I can only imagine my own thoughts about this. Tricks to creating horror that's unique to comics. That's something that we might go into the next time. I mean, let's talk horror in comics the next time at the Stay Home Comic Con. But let's do a complete panel, horror in comics. That's gonna be cool.
Okay.
So, and with that final
I think I can answer it very, very quickly. Is like, if you make it your own. What I do is, if I write a story and make a comic, I imagine what would I found scary and without the jump scares. So I want to make the story more thriller-like than the action and the art combined. I think those two elements are very important.
Yeah, because indeed, Richard made a good point. You can't really get a good jump scare with a proper camera angle and loud music, which goes and then you
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
have the jump scare,
Well,
of
I think
course.
camera angles are important for every comic you create, but especially for horror, it's more like the tension of how you build up a story. Like, yeah, it's very hard to explain. I think the build up for the tension is very important, and the art, of course.
Yeah.
But even a very simply drawn horror comic can be very scary because the story and the eerie vibe in the story can be very scary.
Okay. Well, with that eerie last sentence, we might be able to conclude this lovely interview. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Renee, for sharing your stories with me and giving us a bit of time and attention on this Stay Home Comic Con event. And I want to thank Stay Home Comic Con for having us all here. So I wish you a
Thanks for
great.
everybody tuning in.
That's for sure. Thanks everyone for the amazing questions. We really loved, answering all the questions. And I'm gonna come back later on this afternoon with cosplay artist Kara Nicole, who's dialing in from the United States. So I'll be back, and I hope to see more of you, Renee, later on as well. I want to thank you, everyone. Okay, bye everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.